Hi everyone, I'm Sarah and welcome to my channel, The Spoony Life and Beyond. So today I'm going to be doing a deep dive into Tourette syndrome. I just wanted to start with the fact I am vision impaired. So you'll probably find that most of the time I probably won't be looking at the camera because I'm not always sure where it is. So my eyes do tend to wander. I also have text to speech, so sometimes I do get a little bit lost, so I do apologise for that. I'm also just going to let you know I'm not a medical practitioner, so nothing that I say is intended as medical advice. It is just for awareness purposes. So if you are concerned about your health, please do consult with your medical practitioner and seek medical attention. Okay, so I am going to jump in and do this deep dive on Tourette syndrome. I'm going to be doing an awareness post, deep dive each week. And I have had some requests already for some to do each week. So please keep posted on those ones. I'll be doing them every Saturday. So let's get started. So Tourette syndrome is a disorder that involves repetitive movements or unwanted sounds, also known as tics, that can be easily controlled. For instance, you might repeatedly blink your eyes, shrug your shoulders, or blurt out unusual sounds or even offensive words. Tics typically show up between the ages of 2 and 15, but the average is being around 6 years of age. And males are about 3 to 4 times more likely than females to develop Tourette syndrome. So if you do want to also learn more, the Mayo Clinic does have a book that does have, it's the Mayo Clinic Family Health Book, and it does have some more information in there if you're interested in learning more as well. So there isn't actually, unfortunately, a cure for Tourette syndrome. There are treatments available, but many people with Tourette syndrome don't need treatment when symptoms aren't troublesome. So tics often lessen or become controlled after the teen years. Tics can be sudden, brief, intermittent movements or sounds, and they're the hallmark sign of Tourette syndrome. They can range from mild to severe. The severe symptoms might significantly interfere with communication, daily functioning and quality of life. Tics, simple tics, they can be sudden, brief and repetitive. Tics involve a limited number of muscle groups. Whereas the complex tics, they're quite distinct. They're coordinated patterns of movement which involve several muscle groups. Tics can also involve movement, which are also known as motor tics, or sounds, which are vocal tics. Motor tics usually begin before vocal tics do, but the spectrum of tics that people experience is quite diverse. So common motor tics seen in Tourette syndrome with the simple tics is things like eye blinking, head jerking, shoulder shrugging, eye darting, nose twitching, mouth movements, also common vocal tics, simple tics, grunting, coughing, throat clearing, barking. Whereas with complex tics, that it's touching or smelling objects, repeating observed movements, stepping in a certain pattern, obscene gestures, bending or twisting and hopping. And some of the common vocal tics seen with Tourette syndrome for the complex tics is repeating their own words or phrases, repeating other people's words or phrases, and also using vulgar, obscene or swear words or also known as cuss words as well. And they vary in the type, frequency, and severity. And they also worsen if you're ill, stressed, anxious, tired, or excited. And they can even occur during sleep and can change over time. So they worsen in the early teenage years and improve during the transition into adulthood. Before the onset of motor or vocal tics, you'll likely experience an uncomfortable bodily sensation, such as an itch, a tingle, or a tension. Expression of the tics brings relief. So with great effort, some people with Tourette syndrome are able to temporarily stop or hold back a tic. Not all tics indicate Tourette syndrome. So many children develop tics that go away on their own, often after a few weeks or months. But whenever a child shows unusual behaviour, it's really important to identify the cause and rule out serious health problems. So it's always best to seek medical attention and follow that up. The risk factors, the exact cause of Tourette syndrome isn't known. So it's a complex disorder likely caused by a combination of inherited or genetic factors and environmental factors. Chemicals in the brains that transmit nerve impulses, also known as neurotransmitters, including dopamine and serotonin, might actually play a role. The risk factors with Tourette syndrome include family history. So having a family history of Tourette syndrome or other tic disorders might increase the risk of developing Tourette syndrome. Males, like I've mentioned before, are about 3 to 4 times more likely than females to develop Tourette syndrome. Some of the complications with Tourette syndrome often people with Tourette syndrome do lead healthy, active lives. However, Tourette syndrome frequently involves behavioural and social challenges that can harm their self-image. And there are other conditions often associated with Tourette syndrome. So they include ADHD, obsessive compulsive disorder. They could be on the autism spectrum. They may have learning disabilities, sleep disorders. As I mentioned before, the tics do actually still continue while sleeping. Depression, anxiety disorders, pain related to tics, especially headaches, and anger management problems, because there are issues with communication and being able to, express how they're feeling, their self-worth, and having those social interactions, especially when the tics are quite severe. So because there is that spectrum, of the severity of the tics. So from the simple tics to the complex tics. So they really do have that, the variety there as well. So I think also we need to be more observant in the way that we treat people with Tourette syndrome, because it has been in movies and comedies and things like that, as something that's humorous and, having that person in the group who just constantly shouts out swear words, and it puts that stigma on Tourette syndrome, that it's something that should be laughed at, and it's the joke of the party and things like that, when really it's not. It does have those negative effects in someone's life when they're having to live with Tourette syndrome, and also the people around them. That's their support system, the people that are supporting them, caring for them, advocating for them. You know, it does make it quite difficult, and I think we need to take a step back and remove that stigma that has been created in the movies. And I'm not saying that, you know, movies can't have you know, those things in them, or, you know, it's just that unfortunately it has changed the views on Tourette syndrome and has made it appear a certain way, that everybody who has Tourette syndrome is just constantly going to be throwing out swear words or cuss words, you know, and it's going to be funny, when it's not. You know, it could be that, you know, you're constantly having muscle tics and jerking, and it could be quite painful. So, you know, it's quite difficult. You know, there also is the lack of proper sleep, because these tics just don't stop. You know, they continue through sleep, you know, so there's sleep disturbances. There's also, you know, I've actually, when I've been learning about it, seeing videos of people with Tourette syndrome wanting to hold their nieces and nephews as babies, but they can't, because they can't control their tics as much as they want to. They may be able to control it very temporarily, but unfortunately not for a long period of time. So it's quite difficult, because then they can't have that contact, you know, that physical contact with a loved one, you know, and building that bond. So it is quite difficult, and there are so many aspects to it. And so I think we really need to start raising some awareness about Tourette syndrome and taking away from it the humorous side of it that people get from it, and really look into what it does to the lives of people who are living with Tourette syndrome. So I really do appreciate everyone who's taken the time to jump on today and listen and learn about Tourette syndrome. It's not something that is often spoken about or covered. So I did just want to raise some awareness about it. So next Saturday I'll be doing another deep dive. So please do come and follow on. I do thank you for your time and support. So please do like, share and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye. Mwah.